Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to I would say a half episode of Sound on
Yeah,
Sport. We got something a little special for you. It's the NFL playoffs. We just thought we'd do a quick little NFL playoff predictions video. Obviously, J. Ross is not here with us, but I am here. J. Ross didn't die, by the way. He's with I
he's
know
dead.
he just died. He's not dead. He's
He's
just not
straight up dead.
on us. Okay. But I am here with Little Fatty. So,
How's it going? New webcam, new webcam.
new webcam. The mic we'll get that sorted, but the webcam is perfect. The webcam is absolutely perfect.
We can do
All right,
one
but
thing at one episode at a time.
exactly. See, every episode. Look, and then you got you got the
I
background.
had the but now it looks better with the webcam. I don't know.
Was the background also new?
Well, I
The
had it
Seahawks
during our
background.
first. I had it during our first episode, but it looked like shit. So
All right. Well, now it's back,
whatever. All
and it's
right,
fantastic.
let's go.
All right, but yeah. So we're just gonna obviously we're a Seattle sports channel, so we don't usually cover the other teams, but obviously it's the NFL playoffs, so I thought we could just sit down and have a quick little predictions video and see kind of where the Seahawks land in all this. So if you guys are enjoying the video, please throw a thumbs up on it. Subscribe if you have not already, and let's get straight into the predictions.
Definitely, and definitely repost us on TikTok. We're going to be chopping this one up. So if you're listening to the long form episode and you see little clips on TikTok, hitting that repost definitely helps us a ton just to get our brand out there for sure.
All right, so I figured, like you said, I think we should just start with the AFC here. Let's go one side by one side. And
Okay.
we start here with the 7th seed Chargers at the 2nd seed New England Patriots. Obviously, a very, very good matchup between two. I was about to say young, but Herbert's not really young anymore, is he? He feels like he's like 28 or whatever, but he feels like he's still young. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Uh, Nonetheless, they're on the road at the New England Patriots with potential MVP candidate Drake May. Fatty, I'll give you the floor on the first one. So, what do you think? Who do you think comes out on top in this playoff matchup here?
Well, first of all, I think this is a great wild card slate for both sides. I definitely think the AFC has a little bit better matchups. I mean, it's hard to believe that the Chargers are the seventh seed after playing so well throughout the year. They did have a kind of a downturn 3 quarters into the year, and that's just because their injuries. They're really banged up on their offensive line. Obviously, they rested a lot of players to hopefully be healthy for going to Foxborough. I think it's going to be a great game. As much as I wanted to root for the Chargers throughout the playoffs, I don't think they can pull this one off on the basis of you have a really injured offensive line against a Mike Vrabel defense. I'm just like, I don't know. Herbert's been kind of live or die by the pressures. He's made great throws, but his receivers have been letting him down. They don't have a really significant run game to kind of balance that out as well. I just think that the Patriots have been humming all season. Granted, this is one of the first times they're going to have to play and beat a team above 500. So I can see this game going either way. But if I had to guess, I'd say it's a good 24-21 New England, just based off of the injuries and being at home.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat. Obviously, of course, the MVP race is really between Drake May and Matt Stafford. But honestly, dude, Justin Herbert has been one of the most valuable players in the NFL. When you take a look at that Chargers team, especially that offensive line, man, you lose Rashawn Slater before the season even starts. You lose Joe Alt multiple times during the season. And
Yeah.
then just the players around Justin Herbert just aren't that good. Obviously, a first round draft pick Omarion Hampton goes down early, hasn't really recovered, to be honest with you, after showing like super great explosiveness when he's starting to come on. Even just guys like Lad McConkey, who you thought was going to take a big leap, just didn't end up taking that leap you would have hoped. Of course, Quentin Johnston, looked very good earlier in the season, then kind of just fade away.
Bounce back
Um,
this year for sure.
yeah, overall it's a good year for Quentin Johnston, but he definitely started off very hot, kind of simmered down, and became much of an X factor for them. I I love Justin Herbert. I think he's probably one of the most overhated players in the league. I don't see him being able to get it done against the Patriots. I mean, Drake May, what he's doing this year. I mean, in my opinion, at least the most valuable player in the NFL. Obviously, that team was, 4-13 last year. To have that kind of turnaround is crazy. They did
Mhm.
make a lot of under the radar signings in the offseason that did actually end up, paying big dividends for them. But, I think I know obviously it's a young QB and a new head coach to this team, of course. But, Vrabel's had successful seasons with lesser talent, in my opinion, especially at the quarterback position. I think it gets him out of the first round at least, and we'll kind of see how our little I guess our matchups shake out from there. But I'm going comfortably the Patriots on this one.
And yeah, I guess one more thing too, and it's just kind of the narrative, and we could definitely go with the Patriots. There is like they haven't beaten a good team really all season. I mean, I'm just taking a look at their schedule right now on my other screen right here. So their losses were to the Raiders week 1, and then in week 3 they dropped the game to the Steelers by a possession. But they're winning games handedly against really bad teams. But like they beat Atlanta by a possession, Tampa Bay by a possession, Cincinnati by a possession. So this game's going to be close. I mean, they lost to Buffalo as well at home. So it's just like, I don't know. If the Chargers show up, it's going to be a really close game, really fun one to watch. So, but we'll rock with the Patriots. We won't try to be too upset heavy. But moving forward, we're going to Duval as the Jacksonville
Whoa!
Jaguars host Josh Allen and the Bills. This is another one for me where it's like I want to root for Jacksonville. I want to see these teams build momentum as franchises, but unfortunately, it's just like Josh Allen, the sixth seed. This could be like the Grim Reaper throughout the playoffs, dude. Like he positioned him. They positioned. I'm saying he. They positioned themselves
I
in a
mean,
great spot. I mean, basically, but
it's
I mean,
basically Josh Allen. His
but I
entire,
mean,
pretty much just him. James Cook,
they're
shout
the
out James Cook.
they're the one team that I would hate to face on a heater in the Super Bowl. So I
See
I
this
Trevor Lawrence versus Josh Allen in a shootout. You gotta go with the MVP. You gotta go with Josh Allen.
this might be the first one where we disagree already, man. I I honestly I really do believe in this Jacksonville Jaguars team. And I know obviously it's Josh Allen in the playoffs. There's huge shootout potential. And if there's one dude in the NFL that you'd pick, despite whatever circumstances your team has, I think everyone would pick Josh Allen to be like, okay, he can gut us through a very, very tough game in the playoffs. The problem is, dude, the way that this Jacksonville team has come together. I mean, when you look at Trevor Lawrence, the leap he's taken on the back half of the season, Liam Cohen has done wonders for his game, wonders for this offense. They're really starting to look like one of the best in the league. And then you combine that with the defense. The Jacksonville Jaguars defense is for real. I mean, it's not like a top 3 unit or anything, but it is for real. And I think they get stops. I know you got Josh Allen, but man, you got no receivers who can really get open. Your best receivers, Khalil Shakir, maybe. Keon Coleman, he loves cookies. He might not even be on the field, to be honest with you. They can't stop the run either. And like I said, Liam Cohen, one of his the best things about him is the run offense that he installs, and he's really brought Travis Etienne back to life. And I think the Jags have all the makings of a team that can make a good playoff run. They got a good quarterback, good play caller. They can run the ball and they can play defense. It's like they're one of the most complete teams in the AFC. And as much as I love Josh Allen, really, I just don't see him. I don't see it, Carson. I don't see him beating the Jags. I don't. If this was the Bills of a few years ago when they still had a lot of talent, then
Yeah.
of course you'd want to back Josh Allen. But they are depleted, man. Like any Bills fan will tell you, they they can't defend the run. They can barely defend the pass. No receivers can get open. The coaching is just not great. Like I feel bad, and I want to with no Mahomes, no Lamar. You want to see Josh Allen, make that leap, but the Bills are just failing him so bad, and I really honestly believe they get bounced in the first round. But it seems like we're at a crossroads here because you got the Bills, I got the Jags.
Yeah. I
There's no
I
J
I
Ross
can
here
go.
to pick the ties here.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go with your Jaguars pick. Just looking at you know their form as of late. I mean, they beat the shit out of Denver a couple weeks ago. They're
In
on a five.
Denver.
Yeah, they've won 5 in a row. And the Bills, another question mark is, hosting Philly and losing 13-12. It was kind of an eyebrow raiser there. So, and keeping it close with Cleveland. Then again, they did beat New England. This is going to be a toss up, but we can go ahead and put the Jaguars.
Dude, it's tough because I mean, oh man, you do got Josh Allen, but I just think that team is lacking.
This
The thing
game,
is, if you put Josh on any of these teams, I guess other than probably the Chargers, I think they make the Super Bowl comfortably. To
yeah,
be honest with you, unfortunately, his team is just so bad, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are actually legit. And then another thing I want to point out is we've seen Trevor Lawrence play great in the playoffs. We've seen Trevor Lawrence overcome great adversity in the playoffs before. Obviously, that was a
right.
few seasons ago. Hasn't been ever since. A lot of dysfunction in the Jacks, but now they really seem like they've finally put all those ghosts behind them. And yeah, I do think they go through here. But that does lead us to the last wild card round matchup out of the AFC, which is the number 5 Houston Texans at the number 4 Pittsburgh Steelers. Me personally, I think this is an easy decision, but I'll give you the floor for this one, Carson. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, not much to break down here as the Steelers kind of hobbled into the playoffs. They do get the benefit of the doubt hosting the game. I will say a playoff game in Pittsburgh this time of year is not going to be fun, especially for C.J. Stroud and crew. But that Texans defense is one of the best in the NFL, and they're going to give Aaron Rodgers nightmares. Could be Aaron Rodgers' last game in the NFL. He might run it back next year, but I'm thinking all signs are pointing Houston. I think they're going to be running away with this one. This one will be a blowout as opposed to the other two in the AFC, and it's all gonna depend on how C.J. Stroud steps up and performs in the playoffs. But I think this is going to be a dominant win for the Texans. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
Don't quote
I'm
me.
right there with you. I'm right there with you. I think the Texans got this in the bag. I will say I would not be surprised if this game's a bit more closer just because that Texans offense is very inconsistent. It's really not that great. CJ Stroud, obviously showed a ton of promise his rookie year, and I still think he's that quarterback. I just think that offensive line is terrible. It was already bad. Then they trade Laramie Tunsil to the
You're
Commanders,
right.
I believe. And it's really just been hurting them. They can't run the football really. I mean, Woody Marks, nice little player, but it's not Joe Mixon. It's not prime Nick Chubb. They got
Yeah.
Nick Chubb, unfortunately. But I still think they got more than enough to handle the Steelers team. And like you said, it's not really what we really got to go in depth about. But shout out Unk. He wins the
Shut
division.
up.
41, 42 years old. They barely got there, but
But
congratulations to him.
I will say he's been looking very vintage Aaron Rodgers the last couple games, so he's definitely in good form. I just don't think he could keep up with the Texans defense there. I don't think he could pick them apart, but he has been playing very well these past couple of weeks.
All right, now on to the divisional playoffs. We got the number 3 Jags at the number 2 New England Patriots, which, to be honest, so far looks like our best playoff matchup. I'm
Right.
gonna be honest. This one looks like it looks like
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, they're
Looks
both really good. But yeah, this one's going to be a great one. I think this is going to be a revenge game for Jacksonville. If you remember, way back in 2018, they actually had a shot to make the Super Bowl. This was the AFC Championship with Blake Bortles and crew, Miles Jack, that controversial no fumble call. And I honestly think the way the Jaguars are, I know I picked the Bills in the beginning, but if the Jaguars go ahead and beat the Bills, handle business down south, I think they go up north and they handle business against the Patriots as well. Just because the fact that the Patriots are a young team, Jacksonville. Jacksonville can kind of capitalize on the momentum a little bit, beating a team of their caliber with the Bills. I honestly think that Jacksonville gives the Patriots a real challenge, and it's going to be close. Another really, really close game, hypothetically, but I'm going to go with Jacksonville.
To be honest with you, for similar reasons, although I like the Patriots as a team better, I gotta agree, man. I think this could potentially, we'll see. It could potentially be the year of the Jaguars here. I think they go into Foxborough and I think they win. I think I guess you would call it an upset, but to me, it wouldn't really be an upset, man. Obviously, like I said before, Drake May is my MVP, and a big reason for that is because I think he hides a lot of flaws in this team. Like this team is really not that talented. Of course, they've made some nice under the radar moves, but just overall, as rosters go, I mean, you take Drake May off this team and replace him with a bridge quarterback, they probably win 5 games. And I just
Right.
love the talent on this Jags team a lot more. And as much as I love Drake May, I just don't think it's going to be enough. And I still think he's a second-year quarterback, of course. So who knows how Drake May is going to fare in the playoffs? But it is a very good possibility. It's his first time here that maybe doesn't look all too pretty. And when you're lacking in receiving talent, to be honest with you, it's going to be hard if they fall behind to get things going. I don't trust them being able to run the ball effectively on this Jacksonville Jaguars front. So I I'm in agreement. I think it's a comfortable win for the Jags. Of course, it could go either way. It's the playoffs, but I think if I had to bet money, which we don't bet money here, we don't gamble, of course. I would pick the Jaguars to upset the Patriots.
Well, and I will say this too. I mean, if the Patriots did somehow end up with the first seed, and this was flip flopped a little bit, we could argue the same thing about Bo Nix being an inexperienced quarterback in the playoffs. And I think maybe if the Patriots did have that first seed, they could rest up. But they're going to have to go through a gauntlet, hosting the Chargers anyway. So I just think, if they're going to be fatigued, Jacksonville might be fatigued. So it's just going to be who's going to be more prepared for that game. And honestly, I just think that Jacksonville might be the best team the Patriots have played on paper all year in this hypothetical
Oh,
matchup.
for
Because
sure.
it's like the other ones are they've played the Bills twice, and that's been about it. But yeah, I mean, shifting gears, you got a great one in Mile High. Denver hosting hypothetically the Texans coming off a win against Pittsburgh. Denver has the bye, of course. I think that Denver's going to be well rested. I think their defense is going to give CJ Stroud hell. It's going to be enough for Bo Nix to kind of operate the offense, and I think they'll win that one handedly. As much as I want to root for the Texans, and it'd be interesting to see an AFC South AFC championship, I just don't think that CJ Stroud has shown me enough in year 3 for me to say, okay, he can go in and beat a playoff team on the road. I just don't think that offense is proven enough to me.
Yeah, for me, honestly, this was kind of a game where surprisingly I'm more on the fence about really. We'll go with the Broncos. Since I'm on the fence, we'll go with you make great points, obviously, but to me, I think this is really going to be a battle of which QB can not, who can fuck up less. That's what I think this is headed to be honest
Yeah.
with you. Like, I really don't, I think that Texans defense is just so good. I think if they win this game, it's going to be the back on multiple Texans turnovers. Maybe they get lucky, get a fumble recovery or a pick recovery for a touchdown, or set them up inside the red zone. Stuff like that. I think that's how they're going to have to win this game. I just that Broncos defense is so ferocious. They got the best pass rush in the NFL against the arguably one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. I think it's going to be a nightmare for CJ Stroud. I mean, their best weapon, Nico Collins, going to be negated against Patrick Surtain if they're both healthy. I'm pretty sure they're both healthy, but um, I think obviously what I will say about the Texans, why I am intrigued and I think this will be a close game, is because that Broncos offensive line obviously is top tier, but I don't see them being able to actually run the ball on them all too effectively. I think it's going to come down to a lot of Bo Nix having to win this game for them, at least push them over the hump. Their defense will show up and they'll do their job, but Bo Nix is going to need to make several plays for them to win this game and win it comfortably. And it's a big test for him. I mean, Bo Nix, I know he's 85 years old, but nonetheless, he's still a second-year quarterback. Second time in the playoffs, obviously. But I do, I do think the Broncos win this one, and I think it's a lot closer than what people expect.
Well, yeah, I think one last point on this hypothetical matchup is that it is a battle of two top 5, top 3 defenses in the NFL. So it's not necessarily like I understand it's going to be do or die by your quarterback, but it's also going to be like this game's going to be like 13-9 in my opinion. It's going to be a gutsy win, and I would rather default it to like the home team, the team that's rested, the team that has the opportunity to prepare. Texans are going to be probably a little jet lag going to Pittsburgh, then having to go back and play in Denver. So tough environment to play in. So yeah, Denver all the way there.
And that leads us to the AFC Championship game. The number 3 Jacksonville Jaguars at Mile High once again for the second time this season against the number 1 seeded Denver Broncos. I have a sneaky suspicion we might have a differing opinion here, but I think they get it done again, Carson. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars go into Mile High, and I think they beat the Broncos, upset them, and I think they go to the Super Bowl. And this Jaguars team, man, it just really feels like they're the most complete team out of the AFC. I think Trevor Lawrence is a much better quarterback than Bo Nix. I think they still got the defense to stop the Broncos offense like they showed previously. I mean, they really were stomping all over the Broncos, and it wasn't even close. It was 34-20. It's 2 touchdowns, man. Like I don't see how they make up that gap there. I just think this Jags team just has everything. I think they just have everything you need to make it to a Super Bowl, and it sounds crazy because it's the friggin' Jags, right? But I think they
Right.
make it to the Super Bowl. Take the floor. What do you think?
Uh, it's tough for me because I feel like Jacksonville has really hung in there. They've been a consistent team all year, but at the same time, we have seen, it's tough. It's tough for me. I
It
don't
is
know.
tough to beat. It is tough to beat the same team twice in a season. We will say that it is tough,
Yes,
especially 2 teams that are very, very good like this, like these two. So
and if we're being honest, as we're going to shift toward the NFC, we need to establish that the AFC is notably weak this year. So it's like we have a lot of pretenders in the top seeds here. So I I know you love your Jaguars, and that could be a personal pick of yours, but I think me and the house have to contrast you a little bit there and just say that the Broncos can get it done. I mean, as much as I'd love to see the Jaguars go, I just don't think a rookie head coach and Trevor Lawrence and that defense can go into Mile High. They're already going to have to pull off a miracle to beat Drake May and the Patriots. I think that Denver's defense is one of the best in the league. Just behind ours, and I think it speaks for itself. This is giving me a lot of Super Bowl 50 vibes with the Broncos. Their quarterback kind of not necessarily carrying the team, and the defense really commanding the narrative. I think Denver gets it done. I don't know how you want to decide it, but
yeah, I'm willing to go. I mean, it is the number 1 seed after all. I am willing to let my Jaguars Cinderella run end here. I will say I really don't think I really don't think it's as tough of a road to get to the championship game as it may seem, man. I really think I really think this Jags team overall is far better than the Bills. I think overall they're better than the Patriots. The Broncos, though, it is tough to go into Mile High, beat them twice. I think it's very much possible. Obviously, they stomped all over them quite recently, but I just I mean I can go Broncos here for sure. I mean, there's a reason they're the number 1 seed, of
right.
course, and Bo Nix has been capable. If the game stays close, he's been capable to make plays to get his team the win when they need it most. I think this defense won't give up 34 points this time around, so I will go ahead and put the Broncos through. And the Broncos are the AFC winners, and they make the Super Bowl. But now, this is where we get to some no more little boy stuff. Okay, the AFC, like we've established, kind of fraudulent, just a little bit. But now we got the NFC, which just feels like an absolute gauntlet, no matter which matchup you look at. I guess we'll start here. Green Bay Packers at the Chicago Bears. And if you guys have listened to every episode at this point, you guys know me and Fatty are going to differ on this pick. So I don't know how we're going to settle this one.
Yeah.
I do believe the Green Bay Packers will. Obviously, I think they'll have Jordan Love for sure. I think they go, and I think they get their get back from last game. I think they go in to Chicago, and I think they upset them. Obviously, the Bears have made quite the leap this year. I mean, I already didn't feel great about them, Carson. Then you look at what happened against the Lions. While the Lions weren't playing for anything, the Bears were still playing for seeding. I just
Yeah.
Caleb Williams too inconsistent for my liking. This is like you said, about the Jags. It is a rookie head coach,
Yeah.
and that didn't stop me from picking the Jags. But I think the Packers are just a much better team than the Bills. Jordan Love was playing great before he got banged up, but he should be good to go. Should be healthy. I think this Packers team is just more experienced, man. I think they're more experienced. I think they go in and get it done. To be honest with you, bro, that's just
I
my opinion.
No, I get that, and I definitely do see this. I mean, I love this matchup in the wild card round. I think it's awesome.
It's
Um,
awesome.
it's great. I mean, these teams played each other. This is going to be the third time in about a span of a month. So I mean, geez, they've both seen each other, and I definitely can see in your opinion, the Bears potentially laying an egg. The only edge I would give Chicago is you know, is Jordan Love going to be fully healthy? Is he going to rise to the occasion? We saw, kind of a shootout style. I mean, that's kind of how the Bears play in the exception of last week. They played the Packers 2 games super tight down to the last possession. They played the 49ers in an absolute fucking shootout. So I don't know, man. I think the vibes are with Chicago. I mean, going into Soldier Field, that field is going to be cold. Fucking, it's going to be cement. The Bears defense for me has stepped up a ton with their playmakers. Green Bay, obviously, without Micah Parsons, that's going to be a huge game changer. It is Caleb Williams, though, and it is Ben Johnson. I think Ben Johnson. I don't know, man. I think the Bears pull it out, but then again, I mean, here's the reason why I also want to pick the Bears in a hypothetical sense because it fucks up the seeding for the divisional round. Because obviously, I think we're both going to be in agreement these next 2 games of how they're going to go, and it's like if Green Bay wins, they're going to Seattle. We're going to beat the shit out of them. But if Chicago wins, they got to go play another game. We're obviously not matching up with Chicago in the divisional round. So I don't know. I think Chicago, it's tough, but yeah, it's
This
tough.
is
I don't
it
know.
is tough, man. I
There
hear your
also
points.
there
I
also
hear
has
you.
never been a net that we've had the 7 seed for about 3-4 years. There has never been a 7-2 upset.
That's true, but it has only been a few years. But I don't know if this is one that I can. I do we got it? Is there some sort of flip coin app or
Let's
something
see.
that I could go
Let's see.
to?
Hold on.
Because I just man, I really just I don't trust this Bears defense, man. I really don't. I mean, I know. I mean, it was only a couple games ago they gave up 40 to the Niners, who we just saw get absolutely clamped. Granted, it is by the Seattle Seahawks defense, of course, but they still only put up 3 points and they just dropped 40 on the Bears, man. Like I don't trust them. I really don't. Caleb has shown to be a big time player, but it is another step up. I really,
It's going to be a great one. It's going to be
I
a
just,
great one for
yeah,
sure.
I just don't see us, or I just don't see the Packers losing
Okay.
this one. I really don't. I mean, of course, it's gonna be a close game. It's the Bears Packers, of course. I really just, I something I got a gut feeling. Maybe I'm gonna
Okay.
be wrong. More than likely I'll be wrong. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we could not come to a consensus here. So since there's no J Ross, this is the way we're gonna solve it here. So we got our little wheel here. Fatty, give me a little countdown here from 3.
3, 2, 1. Who's moving on? Gosh.
And it's the Green Bay Packers.
All
Wow.
right. All right.
Would you look at that?
And let me preface this too. I as much as I love to see the Bears and like I love the storybooks, I can't root for narratives in the NFC. So I guess as a Seahawks fan, you're probably wanting to root for Green Bay because they're just not at the caliber of the Rams and Seahawks and I guess maybe Philly. So I guess you're wanting to see the Green Bay Packers, of course. They pull off the first 7-2 upset. So, all right, move them on.
But now moving on, we got the San Francisco 49ers, 6 seed at Philadelphia, the 3 seed. This is, to me, just like the Texans and the Steelers of the first round. I think this is a pretty easy pick. I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles. I assume there's not much pushback. Listen, we just saw the 49ers against a ferocious defense put up 3 points. There's nothing about them that scares me. There's nothing about them that scares the Philadelphia Eagles defense, who have really started to turn it on big time. That defensive line, Christian McCaffrey, kind of a bit of a shell of himself, in my opinion, bit of a touch merchant here. I don't think he's explosive enough to make a huge difference against this Philly defense. George Kittle's banged up. I don't know if they might get Trent Williams back. I'm not sure. Either way, I don't think it makes that much of a difference. I think the Eagles handle business. Quinyon Mitchell playing at an all-pro level, Cooper DeJean, Reed Blankenship. Of course, they just got guys all around that defense, playmakers, and I don't see the Niners going into Philly and getting it done. To be honest with you, I think it's just pretty comfortable. But I will say the only thing that you could say about the Philadelphia Eagles is that offense is not very good. Their play caller, Kevin Patul, not very good. That being said, the Niners defense is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that really matters much, to be honest with you. So,
yeah.
Patty, you got any other thoughts? I think we can move on swiftly from this one, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, really quick, I think San Fran, people would be looking at San Fran a lot differently if, Saturday Night Football turned out to be a little bit different. They definitely would have benefited from the bye a lot more than we would have in terms of their injuries. I do think Trent Williams will be back, but still no Fred Warner. Obviously, Nick Bosa out for the year. Maybe you see Ricky Parasol. I don't know. I'm grasping at straws to see who is necessarily coming back to this Niners.
Whoa, we stretched the field against the Seahawks.
Exactly.
Without him, we lost.
At that point, I mean, you're going into Lincoln Financial Field during a playoff game. It's not for everybody. It is for the Seahawks, but it's not for everybody. I think that if Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet could run that consistently against the Niners D last week, Saquon Barkley is going to absolutely feast no matter what the play calling is. I think that Kevin Patula or Nick Sirianni or whoever is going to be calling the plays over there, they're going to be just fine. And it is unfortunate. I mean, it is the end of the era for San Fran. It's just like they're kind of a shell of themselves. This loss will make a mark. You're gonna see the dynasty and how they couldn't win anything in the Super Bowl, and then this is gonna be the loss where they're gonna blow it all up. Obviously, retain Brock Purdy, but gonna be interesting to see what San Fran does. But yeah, unfortunately, just this isn't even an even matchup. The crazy thing for me is that I think Philly kind of saw this coming after Saturday night because they could have tried for the second seed. The Bears did lose. And I guess they'd rather play the 49ers than the Packers, which in this case, I guess, is the right idea. But I think Philly wins pretty handedly, and it's going to be like a rematch of that NFC Championship where they're like, oh, we didn't have a quarterback. Well, you're going to have your quarterback, and that's pretty much all you got. So, yeah, Eagles by a lot.
Yeah, and I just one more point. The Niners fans are like the one fan base I see that when their team is like just downright injured, they'll talk the most shit and be like, "Yeah, we're gonna still kill you. We're gonna walk in and take the number 1 seed." Blah blah blah, and then they lose, and they're like, "Well, Ricky Pearsall. He wasn't playing. We would have won the game." It's like, dude, just if your team's injured, stop chirping like you're gonna be the best team in the NFL. You're not. You're bad, and you're going home in the first round. Anyways, we got the number 5. LA Rams at the number 4 Carolina Panthers, who obviously beat and upset the LA Rams during the season. One of the big reasons why we have the first round bye here. I think this is also short and sweet. This ain't happening again as much as we want it to. It's not going to happen again. The LA Rams, you got Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Sean McVay. That defense is looking very suspect recently, but I think this could be a good get right game to turn around against the Carolina Panthers. Of course,
for sure.
the Panthers were looking good, man. That two-headed monster in the backfield was really starting to get going, and just recently they haven't been able to turn it on. And I think they're going to be overmatched. Simple as that. I think the LA Rams move on quite comfortably.
Yeah, the Panthers suck. They really do suck. We spent the last episode being like, "Hey, they might be under 500, but they're a sneaky playoff team." They suck.
Yeah.
They're very bad. The game against the Buccaneers, I don't care if it was the weather. Bryce Young looked terrible, and yeah, they're not good. And this is definitely going to be a get right game for Los Angeles. But yeah,
Shout out Dave Canales though.
yes,
Not
shout out
legend.
Dave Canales. Shout out the whole team. Like, this team was in purgatory a few years ago. Not saying that they suck and they're going to suck next year. I think they're moving in the right direction, and
For sure.
probably might win the division next year. Who knows? So it's just like, but right now,
Just not this time, buddy.
yeah, no, not quite. Maybe you try to get to the third seed if you want to do that. Even if they matched up with the Niners here, I really think they'd still lose. They're just not really that good of a team. So yeah, okay. So moving on to our hypothetical divisional playoffs. So Seattle would be hosting Green Bay. And obviously, I think we're a little bit biased here, but I think that we would match up excellent against Green Bay without without Micah Parsons. I think that, yeah, I mean, Josh Jacobs won't be able to run on us like he did a few years ago. This would be a perfect scenario in my mind for the Seahawks to just really like rest up, play the interior team, already kind of on a Cinderella run. So and not have to face the Rams in the divisional round like I think they will. I think we will play the Rams in the divisional round, but for the sake of this, I mean, this is going to be kind of like those games where vintage Seahawks, you're in the divisional, like you're in the wild card or like divisional round, like when we played the Panthers that one year when we went to the Super Bowl. And like Cam Newton's aura farming, he's like looking at it, he's like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be hell for y'all today," and we just kicked their ass. So we're gonna kick their ass, and you can clip me if that actually doesn't happen. But yeah, we kicked their ass.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to the Green Bay Packers. A narrow spin of the wheel has gotten them this far in our predictions here. But the story ends here, and I will say I like a lot of what they got going on. Obviously, Micah Parsons losing him is going to be detrimental. They're not going to be able to really get to Sam Darnold like they would have, easily been able to had they had Micah. I've always had a lot of admiration for Josh Jacobs. He feels like a dude that's just not like elite at really anything, but just good at everything. And he's always been very, very consistent. Had that legacy game against us, of course, a few years back. 2022. I do like Jordan Love, big Jordan Love guy. I think when you see, it's really funny when you see quarterbacks that are tearing it up and then they go, into Seattle or Seattle comes to them and it's not pretty. It's not a pretty scene. To quote Cam Chancellor, it's going to be a nasty scene. I think it's going to be an easy win for the Seahawks. That defense, it's the best in the league. There's not much more to say, really. I think it's a pretty comfortable win here for the Seahawks.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, This next one is kind of interesting. Seeing LA go to Philly. I mean, this one should hypothetically be close. But I think LA is just gonna, they were able to, kind of dunk on the Panthers, and I think Philly might struggle more with the Niners than they would the Panthers. LA is just too good of a team to count out, to lose early. In this instance, it's like they could play anybody else but us, and they're going to be in the NFC Championship. Now, if they played us in the divisional, I mean, it might be a different story. But like, LA is battle tested. They got the best, team on paper in the first round. So this one should just be another win for the Rams.
Yeah. I mean, I was gonna pick the LA Rams. I will say, if the Eagles did win, they did pull off. I guess I know they're the 3 seed, but you would call it an upset. They beat the Rams.
For sure. for
I
sure.
think they have. I think I will say that I think they have the makings to beat the Rams. I think they match up, with their offensive personnel. I mean, it's hard to game plan for Puka, but at least on the outside with Adams, you got Quinyon Mitchell there. I like that matchup. I think you could try and move around Cooper DeJean to try and negate Puka. It's going to be hard, but I think they do have the makings of a team that could make this game close and make it an upset. Ultimately, I just think the Rams, like I said, they'll get Devontae Adams back. I think they'll be close to full strength, and I think they're a top 3 team in the NFL when that happens. So I think the Rams move on comfortably. I don't see the Eagles really. I, I guess they could. I want to try and be nice here. I don't want the Rams to make it this far. I just think they're going to kind of overpower everybody they play. But then that
Absolutely.
leads to the NFC Championship game. The number 5 LA Rams come into the number 1 Seattle Seahawks at Lumen Field. Gives you hints of the 2013 NFC Championship game. Obviously, the 49ers coming into Seattle. I think this game goes similar. It's going to be close. It's going to be a straight up division classic. And you got to back the boys, right? I think the Seattle Seahawks pull this one. I think they pull this one out of the bag. Like I said, I think it's going to be close. I think Sam Darnold is going to be battle tested. I mean, obviously, what he did against the Rams, played 95% of the game, played well against the Niners. I think he plays well against the Packers. And man, I'm starting to trust him more. This could bite me in the ass here. It is Sam Darnold. You look at the history of his career, right? But I'm starting to gain more and more confidence in him to be at least a good game manager who can make big time throws when we need it. I think it's going to be too much for the Rams, man. I think the 12s will be too much. I think that defense will be too much. It is a Super Bowl caliber defense, and I think the Seattle Seahawks make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. If the seeds were flipped, and if we were to lose that Thursday night football game at home against the Rams, I would think a lot differently. And I am kind of an optimist in that regard for the Seahawks, Mariners, and whatnot. It's going to be tough, especially with Devontae Adams back. Our corners are going to have to play a lot better. They're going to have to play a lot more like they did against San Francisco than games past. It's so tough. It's so razor thin, the margins. It's just like what a great set of game. What a great trilogy of games, I guess. If this were to happen, you go and watch the first game, you go and watch the second game, and this decides who goes to the Super Bowl. So the magnitude is multiplied by 10 here. Seattle in their franchise history, 3-0 in NFC championships, and they've hosted them all as the 1 seed. So history would favor us here. And I think recency bias, they might say, okay, Seattle's got it. Oh, dude, this is so tough. I'll rock with Seattle, but I'm just going to be white knuckling my way through this game, and they're just going to have to prove it. I want them to, and I think what will help is if we do play Green Bay, or if this isn't the divisional round like my prediction would be, I want them to just come out guns a-blazing. It's going to be the same things that we talked about when we were against the 49ers. But the fact of the matter is, we cannot play like we played the 49ers. Our offense cannot be that stagnant, leaving points on the board, because we're not going to get as many stops against the Rams. But yeah, let's just say Seattle advances to the Super Bowl, and then we got a Super Bowl 48 rematch. And for me, it's just like, I think we match up with any team in the AFC very well. The Bills would scare me just because they have the playmaking quarterback and a game changer at quarterback. But am I scared of Drake May? No, not really. Not really scared of Bo Nix, Trevor Lawrence, C.J. Stroud, etc. I think Seattle handles business, not 43-8 level, but more like Super Bowl 49 of just really kind of a closer game, but they're going to pull that out. If the Seahawks do beat the Rams, they will be Super Bowl champions no matter who they play, in my opinion.
Yeah, and just to kind of touch on the points that you were ending with there in the NFC Championship prediction. Obviously, the thing about the Seahawks offense last game, they were humming. They They were getting the ball down the field quite comfortably. It's just a matter of decision making. A lot of poor decisions being made, and you got to trust a team that's gotten this far, a team that's been so battle tested, that they're not going to make these same mistakes over and over and over again. We know when it's first and goal on the one, I'd like to think that we'd run the football.
In the
I would
Super
I would
Bowl.
really I would really hope that we would actually learn from our mistakes still and just and still please just run the damn ball. I
Please,
just think
man.
I don't think we got the whole, well, Pete Carroll wanted Russell Wilson to win Super Bowl MVP. There's none of that propaganda here. Nothing there. This is a team that's just all bought in every side of the ball, every asset, offense, defense, special teams. I really think, and it's obviously the most well coached team in football. I think the Seahawks will fine tune those little mistakes that are dropping points on the board. But nonetheless, the Super Bowl here matchup, rematch of Super Bowl 48. I will say, if the Broncos do win this, you can't, you really can't. You got to start putting Bo Nix in the top 10 conversations here. I think this will be the biggest test of his career. Of course, I mean, obviously, like no shit. But the I
Oh, but
think this.
were we putting Jalen Hurts in the top 10 conversations though? Like when he won it, or
Um,
even made it? I
most,
don't know.
it's funny. I think he actually played the game where they made it and lost. He played much better than the game that they won. Yeah. So Seattle Seahawks, they're gonna win. They're gonna win the Super Bowl. Surprise, surprise. The Seattle Sports Channel thinks the Seahawks are gonna win the Super Bowl here. Um, I think this defense is gonna be too much for Bo Nix, and I think that'll be the deciding factor. I think their defense, although it being good, it is very, very vulnerable to being lit up by explosive offensive play, which the Seahawks have shown they can do. I think you got Sam Darnold, who's starting to turn a new leaf. I think the Seahawks have been able to run the ball more effectively. And even if we can't necessarily get the run game going, I think we're going to keep pounding it, pause, then open up the play action game. JSN, I think we'll have a good game. I just don't think Bo Nix is ready for the Seahawks defense, and I think the Seattle Seahawks will be your Super Bowl champions.
Yes. Um, just to kind of recap the way that I think the NFC is going, I think the Bears will win, and I think the Eagles, LA will win.
Here,
We
let's do
faced.
this real quick. Let's do this real quick. Hold on. I know where you want to go with this, but we'll
Okay.
kind of turn this into this segment here. Okay, and then just a quick little, just to end the video here, since obviously it was a combined predictions, we're going to show you what individually each of us think will happen.
Okay.
So this is what, if this bracket was made by Carson, this is what it would look like here.
Okay, so this is what I had in mind. I just really quick running down the bracket. J. Ross is going to kill us. We're talking too much big non-Seattle sports, but yeah, I definitely think that the Patriots get it done. The Jaguars, I would love to see that, but I think the Bills are more of a veteran playoff team. The Texans obviously handle business, so it sets up a Broncos Bills. I think that the Bills meet their match at Mile High Stadium, and then the Texans, kind of same rationale we were talking about the Patriots. It'd be like the first good team they've played, to a lesser extent with the Texans. I just think their defense is that good, but I do think they go to Denver, and Denver still wins. Now, over on the NFC side, it was tough for me to give up on the Bears. I think they do prove that there's going to be a changing of the guard at the NFC North. I do think they're going to win. I think Philly's going to handle business against San Fran. LA obviously manhandles Carolina. Now, this is where I saw us in the NFC divisional game. I think we're going to face the Rams right off the rip. And honestly, if you want to think about it, that's probably a better scenario where you want to face the Rams. Is you don't want to have to go play a whole game and then play the Rams. You could say either way, we'd be a little bit more prepared off the bye. But I think we would beat them there. And then I honestly think the Bears would keep handling business because I just don't think that Philly's offense is really that good. So the Bears and Seahawks would be in the NFC Championship, and then this one would be an absolute blowout, in my opinion. I think we would handle the Caleb Williams and the Bears there. But that's just wishful thinking for me. And then obviously in the Super Bowl rematch, I could see the Patriots in here too. Like, I think we might be overlooking the Patriots. So I think it's either going to be a rematch of Super Bowl 48 or 49. But either way, if the Seahawks make it, they will be Super Bowl champions. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, we did see the Bears have a very good game plan against the Eagles earlier on in the season. They just ran the damn ball, and they were able to do it effectively. I mean,
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift, Kyle Monangai, looking like a very good two-headed monster back there, and that offensive line is very, very much improved. So, I mean, and the NFC, aside from the Panthers, dude, if any outcome happened in the NFC, I genuinely wouldn't be shocked. And honestly, same goes for the AFC. Although the NFC is stronger, there's just so much. It literally just feels like a year where it could literally be anybody's year, other than the Panthers and the Steelers. Not happening, boys. But everybody else, like, it literally could be anybody's year. All right, and to end it off here, if I was making the playoff bracket, this is how it would look for me. Just to touch over a few things. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, I really unironically think they are the best team in the AFC. I know it sounds crazy, man, but I think they really got the squad to put it together. So shout out any Jags fans that are watching this. There
Let's
are
go.
0 of you. Why would you be? But
We're a
if you are,
Seattle podcast.
we're Seahawks, dude. Okay, Seahawks beat the Seahawks, and then the Seahawks go to the Seahawks and beat them, and then it's the Seahawks and the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, and the Seahawks win. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, it's really just the same, other than the Jags going to the Super Bowl, man. That's really all it is for me. Jags, most complete team in the AFC, in my opinion, but nonetheless, they're not ready. I mean, we saw earlier in the season, Seahawks beat them. I think the same story happens again. The Seahawks are the best team in the NFL, and they will win the Super Bowl. That's all this really comes down to tie it all back to Seattle. Any last words?
No, guys, enjoy. I'm not sure when this episode is going to come out. Probably during Wild Card Weekend, so this might just like bust all of our brackets here. But you'll probably see clips on TikTok as well. But enjoy the Wild Card Weekend. Rest up. We're going to need everybody alert for the divisional round. And yeah, I mean, I'm not really rooting for anyone in specific. Just rooting for some good football. So yeah, dude, I'm excited. This is a different. This is like vintage postseason for us being in the first seed, so we're not really having to be like, oh, well, maybe we have a shot. No, this is like a guarantee. Like we are playing in the divisional round. We're in the final, the Elite Eight there. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. I mean, listen, happy wild card weekend for those who celebrate. Unfortunately, we don't. We don't know what that's like. I mean, simply, we're the best team in the NFL, so we don't know what that's like. Quite simply, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you liked this predictions video. Went on a lot longer than we thought, to be honest with you. So I don't know if this will be a 0.5 ep, but we'll see. But ladies and gentlemen, if you guys enjoyed this video, please throw a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe if you have not already. We'll be posting. Well, this video will be clipped up and posted to TikTok soon. And then, of course, we got more stuff on the way. We got more shorts and stuff. So follow the TikTok if you haven't already. We'll be Sound on Sports as well. Follow the Instagram if you haven't already. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have a great day.